fine. So we are going to write the outline of the oil and gas syllabus, right? So oil, gas. The name of the paper is oil, gas, and other minerals taxation. Okay. So that's the name of the paper. Oil, gas, and other minerals what? Taxation. That's the name of the paper. So the most dominating one is the oil and gas. But it has made a lot of students weak when it comes to the minerals. True or false?
True.
True.
Oil and gas, oil and gas. I'm not taxation. Conform focus it. Oh, oil and gas. But
Minerals, me say there.
minerals, this is the kita about 40 marks. So oil and gas is 60, minerals is 40. Check the trend. Every diet. Oil and gas is 60, minerals is 40. So you see how the thing is. Okay, anyway. So we are going to write some few things down and then we go through. So the first area which you have to know is the nature of natural resources. Okay, now the nature of natural resources is, let's just know the different kinds of natural resource endowments we have, right? So you know we have different kinds of natural resources. You just have to know them: oil, minerals, all that, timber, fisheries, the ones in the sea, above the sea. Then the next thing you have to know, they are going to ask you. Sometimes this question comes: the ownership of natural resources. He's calling me on WhatsApp by this time. Oh. Excuse me. Hold on. All right. Sorry. I'm a solo ne frame. So ownership of, please, I hope you cannot hear me. I hope you cannot hear me.
Yes, sir.
So the whole thing is that the resources we have in Ghana here are actually owned by us, but they are put into the hands of the president to manage it for us. Okay. So that part alone, they sometimes ask it for 5 marks. Then once you know that, there's the resource life cycle. Okay. So when it comes to exploitation of resources, it has a life cycle. And this thing, almost every diet, they ask you a question of it, right? So exploitation of natural resources. So resources have what? A life cycle. Are we following? So anytime somebody wants to exploit natural resources in a country, it has a particular life cycle, right? Oh, why is IDM behaving this way? Oh, there's a bug that I need to fix. Okay, so exploitation of resources. Okay. Now, all resources start with some sort of what? Exploration, right? Where you sort of explore. Are you getting all the search? Okay, so after exploration, what you do is that you do appraisal, okay? Appraisal or evaluation. Okay, so you have appraisal or evaluation, then you mostly have development, Okay. We have development. That's setting up of machines. So here, let's say if you are searching for gold, usually we call this reconnaissance, right? Explorational reconnaissance. Then appraisal, that is where you check whether there's gold where you want to go, right? You appraise to see if it's oil, whether they are effective crude oil or hydrocarbons. Then development, you set machines to drill, right? After development, you now do extraction. So you can call it extraction or production, right? So after extraction or production, then some people after producing, it doesn't end there. They must give some of the land back to the government, right? We call that relinquishment. And then finally to the abandonment of fields. Okay, so the fields will now be abandoned because you are done. Usually, all natural resources go through this cycle. Even timber, you go and search for the effective place where you can get good timber. You check whether that place, if you cut the timber, you can reforest it, like you can grow it back. You start setting up the machines, the chainsaw, and the things to cut. You start cutting them. You export and transport them. You give part of the land to government to regrow the trees. Then you finally abandon. So it's literally similar, right? Yeah. So the exploitation and the life cycle, very important. Then you come and look at, are we all follow? Are you writing? Are you writing?
Yeah. Yes, Prof.
You have to do is look at crude oil and the pricing of crude oil. So this diet, I'm really suspecting it's possible. They may ask you pricing of crude oil. So you must know about oil. You must know how it is priced, right? So oil actually, when it comes to oil, okay, crude oil has some factors, right? We have very light oils, we have middle distillates, we have heavy oils, and oils are heavy or they are heavy based on something we call the API gravity, right? And oils are sweet or sour. In simple terms, they are very poisonous or they are less poisonous depending on the level of sulfur inside. Okay. And this kind of oils, are you getting it? End up bringing some particular oils which we call Brent crude. Okay. And these Brent crude are like the benchmarks that we use to determine the price of other oils. So every oil that you see on the market will either be based on three types of Brent. I said Brent crude, benchmark crude, right? Brent crude is an example of benchmark crude. So let me call it benchmark crude because we use them as benchmark, right? So I hope you are getting what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Benchmark crude, there are three main that we use them. Okay. The common one we have is the Western Texas Intermediate. Now, this Western Texas Intermediate is from America, right? It's from America. And this is what they usually call gasoline, right? WTI. Okay, this one is from America. Very sweet oil. Then we have what we call the Brent crude that I was talking about, okay, which is the common one, the Brent crude or the Brent blend. Okay. Now, this Brent blend is from the North Sea, Norway, Iceland, those areas, right? And this is also common. Then here we mostly use what we call the OPEC basket oil. So this oil from a combination of countries, right? The OPEC countries. Now, these three oils that you see here, right? We use them as like the basic, right? Plus or minus a differential. Are you guys getting it? Are you guys getting it? So if like this Brent benchmark crude is like $60 per barrel, okay, we are going to do plus or minus based on this differential. And this differential mostly depends on the API gravity, the sulfur level, right? So you are saying that, okay, based on this thing, that oil that I'm doing will make me adjust to this 60 or below the 60. So if there's more sulfur, for instance, and more sulfur means that the price should go up, then I'll add, meaning that the oil I'm selling is more toxic or more heavy, so it should be priced higher. Do you get it? Then if the sulfur content may be low, then that differential may be lower, so it will be a minus. So maybe oil A, okay, oil A will be $60 plus maybe 0.24, right? Do you understand? Or maybe $24 based on that differential. And oil B might be the same $60,000, which is like the benchmark, minus maybe the same $24, right? So you can all agree that oil A will be more expensive than oil B. True or false? True or false?
True.
Are you all getting it? So all these differential and all those things, demand and supply also plays a key role. Okay, demand and supply also plays a what? A key role. The more people demand the oil, the more expensive it should be. Or please, it seems the number on the call are increasing. How?
Bill,
Yes, please.
that's the number. Check your
Okay.
inbox.
Is that the exact number? Can I log the call?
Yeah, yeah, lock it.
Right. Okay, anyway, let's continue. All right. So demand and supply can also play a key role in pricing of oil. Then we have speculation. Speculation can also play a role. So there are some things that you should know when it comes to pricing of crude oil, right? It's been a while, but I told you just prepare. So that was the pricing. Now, the next area you have to look at is the different types of petroleum operations, right? So petroleum operations, we have three types of petroleum operations in Ghana, right? If you go to other places, they don't do it like we do here. We use upstream, midstream, downstream. When you go to other countries, they use onshore, offshore. Even in Ghana, most of the onshore activities are all upstream, right? Yes, but other countries they don't do midstream, downstream, upstream. They just do onshore, offshore, right? But they can still ask you. Okay, so once you know about this, the next area you have to know about is you have to now know the legal framework. And now CIT likes the legal framework a lot. Before, if we go back to 20, let's say 2020 and below, like 2020, 2019, thereabout, the legal framework was not so much important. They really examined most of the fiscal regime rather, right, rather than the legal framework. But now the various laws, now very important. If you check every date, they have questions for the legal framework. Then we come to the fiscal regime of oil and gas. This fiscal regime, take it very serious. So fiscal regime comes with something we call the fiscal elements. Okay, so the fiscal element is simply the ways government and contractors make and share money, okay, through royalties, additional oil entitlements, surface rentals, bonuses, all those things. Yes. So the fiscal regime, very important. Before, if you look at the old past questions, you will see that there are two fiscal regimes. Then over time, it became three, then four, then now there are so many fiscal regimes now. When CIT updates their syllabus, you see now there are 8 fiscal regimes. Okay, but for your exam, let's just stick with 4. Production sharing contracts, concessionary system, or what we call the licensing regime, or what we call royalty tax system. Then we have the service contract system. Then we have the hybrid system. Actually, joint venture is a system, but let's not call your examiner will not call it joint venture. In Ghana, we use what we call state participation. Okay, so let's stick with that one. But things have evolved, and when you go international, they may mark you wrong. I always stick with what the examiner is looking for. Makes sense. Then, once you know the fiscal regime and the fiscal element, the next area is to learn how to distribute crude oil. Okay, so there comes the distribution of crude oil, and distribution of crude oil is just how to allocate the fiscal element. Once you know this, the next area, as part of the legal framework, we were actually supposed to look at petroleum agreements, but let me bring it here. So petroleum agreements, very important. Okay, so petroleum agreement, you have to know them. Then the next area is to understand unitization. Okay, unitization agreement. Okay, which comes to unitization redetermination. You have to know VI, X, XI. Okay. The next area is to look at stability agreement, especially this diet. This diet, I'm sure you get stability agreement. So look at stability agreement. Stability clauses. You can have what we call freezing clauses, and you can have what we call equilibrium clauses. Right. So we'll come and talk about them. I hope you are writing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this area has a chunk of your marks, okay? This is where like majority of your marks fall. Then we now come to what? Okay, so let me just leave the other ones. Then we come to principles of taxation, right? So principles of taxation for petroleum. You realize that all through this area, why is my PC feeling like this? So just like I broke audit into 5 questions, after this, I'll break it into 5 questions. I'm coming. Why is this thing behaving like that? Wow. Apart from this freezing. Oil and gas doesn't want to be lent to Yambo.
Obuakra.
Oil and gas say no, I don't want to be lent.
Obuakra.
Hey, all I can say, I say, eternity, no.
Oil and gas doesn't want to be lent to. I see you enjoying the life, man. Anyway, so let me just start afresh.